Welcome to Section 8, Part 6. In this part, we're going to look at finalizing the creation of a command. We're just going to do that as our base class. And we'll pass in our client command data to that function. And then same again, we just want to check that it's still valid. And we have authority. What we'll do as well is we'll check that we actually have selected. And that is valid on the selected. So make sure we're setting that lead selection index. I'm going to check that we're doing that quickly. I think that's on select end in our player controller. It doesn't look like we are. So just in our original player controller in select end, we're going to add an assignment for assign selection lead. And we'll create a function for that. Selected lead, actually. And we don't need to pass anything because it's going to be to this pending selection here. Yeah, I'll just put down here. So we'll just create we'll just default it to 0. And then what we want to do for this is get the most center group to be the selection lead. So, I mean, you could do this other ways. If you got, you could use the entity data, or the group data, or whatever to specify even like group ranks or something like that. If you've got something that you want to be the lead all the time, you could do that. It's pretty flexible, this. So, like assigning selected lead is a number of ways you could do it, depending on your game. I think we'll start with a source position. Actually, this might be the same as our source position earlier. So what I might do, I come into our command here and we created the function to get selected center location. I'm just going to grab this function and move it to our base class. Don't need these to be virtual, by the way, unless you plan on overriding, but they're there to be overridden. And then I'll implement that. I'll just take the guts of it out. So now that should still be right in our, as it can access it in the parent class. Yeah, that one. And then we can use it again here. So I'll default that to 0 vector. So that should give us a center location, and then what we can do is we can find a group lead that is the closest to that location. So we only need to do this if there's more than one group. Otherwise, the lead selection index is going to be 0. So we'll just do a check here. Selected. So if there's more than one group, then we do want to find out who's closest. So we're going to need a distance. And then we'll just set that to something high. And then we'll cycle over our guys. So it'll be selected. Just doing this sort of like null check for the group as again. If it's not valid, then we don't have a group. I'll do distance squared. Copy this. I'm going to be using it. So there's that. I need to actually check if the lead is null as well. And we want to get the distance from our source position. Now if that new distance is less than our distance, and it's the closest one. And we'll change the lead selection index to be this index of this selection. And then at the end, all we need to do is in our client pending selections, the lead selection index, we call that lead selection index we just calculated. So that's, sorry, a bit of a detour there, but once that selection finishes, we'll have a selection lead assigned to the entire selected. And then going back to our command, where we're creating our new command, that should be valid now. So we've got selections, we've got a lead index. The lead index actually resolves to something valid, and we have a group. We need that lead group. This is where I was saying we're going to sort of use the data from a lead group. And that's how we're determining what, so the lead group will have a formation and whatever else. So this is going to be how we decide what formation to put everyone in, or the selected in. Not the you might want to have different formations for individual groups, but the overall selected formation, this is how that's going to work. So now we've got a lead group, we want to get their data. Because the other thing is too, like not all groups might be capable of all formations or something like that. So you might want to, or all groups might not be capable of all commands. So you might have specific commands that only some groups can do. So we're going to grab the commands that the actual group can do. What did I call this function? Or did I not have one? Do I have a get data? So we're going to make it get data. Yeah. Yeah, let's just get data. And that's not void, is it? It's going to return the forward deck at the top. And it's going to be const actually. Going to move this down underneath the in play. Now we want to get our asset manager. We want the asset object. Oh, I've got the asterisk on the return. Make it a pointer. And then if we can't pass to our data, then we want to return nothing. Gets us our lead group data. So while we're on the data, in our data assets, we're going to need to have a list of commands that this group can do. It's also like a double thing we use. So like it assigns what commands this group can do. And it also gives us a reference to the commands. So we're going to copy one of these. Copy whatever. Whoops. And this will be tmap. And because we're gonna map it to a command type, so we can pass the struct, not the struct, the enum value in, and pull back the command. And then the command itself will just be a soft class pointer to our command. Why is that doing that? Okay, missing the last bracket. And we'll just change this to command. So we'll need to remember to assign our commands once we get into the editor. Surely we wouldn't forget that, would we? So now that we have our data, we are going to get our command from there, and it will be the make it const. It will be a soft class pointer of the command that we just assigned. It's actually going to be a pointer coming from a map. And we're going to go into the data, into the commands, and we're going to find the client command data type. So that should tell us if it's valid or not. So we can go straight into creating the command. We do that by new object, and we pass the class. The outer is the owner, this player controller, and then our command class, what we're going to spawn. And because it's a soft pointer, we need to load it, so they load synchronous. Now if that's all valid, then we now have a command and we can apply our client data. And how we're going to do that is we're actually going to create our actual command data now. And we'll just create a blank one. And then I think, right, because it's getting like deep into if statements here, what we'll do is we'll just create a update or initiate command data. And in that, we'll pass that client command data. And obviously we need to pass in the command data, and then that will return an updated command data. So then our new command, we can set the data. And then we actually need a return type there, which we didn't do. So it's my computer doing something. There we go. And if all of that fails, returning a null pointer. And we just need to change this. What's going on? I think I might be running out of hard drive space. Getting a bit laggy. So we just need to implement that update command. And it's going to take this. by reference as well. Oh, hard drive space is fine. Must be just something working away. Alright, so now to update this command, we need to assign a command ID. So we'll just have a look at this. We've got a whole bunch of stuff here, so we will start with the ID. We're actually going to use this ID in the preview setup. So actually that's something else we should pass in here. I'm going to pass in whether it's a preview or not. A preview, and I'm going to default it to false. So if we just don't pass anything, it will always be false. So then we don't have to update this because it's creating the command and it's not a preview, so that's fine. So if it is a preview though, we're going to use the command ID to check if it's valid or not, or like it's an actual command or it's just a preview. So what we'll do here is when it's a preview, we'll give it an invalid GUID as the command ID. If it is valid, or if it's not a preview, sorry, we'll actually create a proper GUID for it. With fGUID, do GUID. So when you just do fGUID with the initializer there, it does the constructor, which is just the 000 GUID, where this will create a random GUID. Now we have that command on our command data, sorry, that function on the command data to, pretty sure we implemented it. Apply client data, so pass the client data in. That'll set all that stuff in there. Let's comment it. This is where so now like, this is a choice here. So as we're getting the command from the lead group only, there may be groups in the selection that can't actually execute that command. So what you could do here is check for those and filter them out. I'm going to put this in. If you don't need it, leave it out, but that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to create a copy of our selections. So the player, so the selected, sorry, I'm going to copy the selected. And then I'm going to pass that copy to some sort of validation function. I'm going to pass the command type. So it knows what to check them against. We'll come back to that. But then what we're going to do on our command data is we're going to set selected. Do we have a function for that? No. I'm going to add that. And I'm going to pass that selected copy, because that'll be the filtered version. Like so. So let's do this. Maybe we can just set that directly. Don't really need a function. So let's set up this. What is that? That's just being stupid. And that's going to be selections by reference. So we're just going to go over our selections. Oh, I've got the command type. Actually, I want to reverse over this because we're going to remove. If you do R or R, you'll get the automatic reverse one. So just do like, so it's going to go through the list in reverse. So if we remove one, it doesn't mess up the index. We just got to check if it's valid or the selection's valid, usual. And then I need to get the group's data. So we need to check if they've got the commands. Group data asset. Right, it's dot group get data. So now we can search that map like we did before. So just copy that whole if statement. Actually, I'll change this to outside the if because I want to check if it is null. So that'll be like that, and then we can go. So if we didn't find the command that we're looking for, then we want to remove. So selected copy. And this function wants to be static. No, I want to make it static. I'll make it const though. So then, where was that used? I'm getting lost here. There we go. Okay, so we've got a filtered copy now, and we've set it to our data. And what else do we need to update? We need to, if we're doing an attack command or something like that, we would have right-clicked, or whatever your command button is, we would have selected a target, so we want to update that. So that's what does that. Actually need to change that function, I think, because that's going to do it at our mouse location, which is going to be out of date by now. So we're going to need to pass a location to that. It's going to find the usages of it. So I'm just going to pass the world position there. And then, what's this one? Oh, double tap. Yeah, I'm going to do the same there. And then for our one, we'll pass our, we would have already copied it over. That'll be our command data target location. And if we go into this and just pass the location. So we don't want this, we don't want the mouse position anymore. It's going to be just a location. So I'm going to add an extra 0 for that just to cover the terrain. And then we'll just duplicate that and change this to a minus. There we go, and that should hit whatever's at this location that we pass in. Made that function a bit more versatile. We come back to our, let's close group, data types and group. So now we've checked if there's a target at our click location, so that's updated. I'll comment that one as well. Now we have our command, and we need to assign navigation data, and we're going to do that in a separate. We've set navigation data up as a separate struct, so we can pass that around. So we'll make a function for that. Yeah, I'll just call it get command navigation data, and we'll pass our navigation data. And we want our, no, not that one. Command data as a reference is what we want. So this is where we actually need to have our formation data created, which we haven't done yet. So I'm going to leave this part for now, but this is where the we could actually just do command data dot navigation, because we created the data, we don't have the ability to fill it out yet. So we'll just create a blank one for now. So then this create command, which we were doing somewhere. There we go. So we've created a command, all right? So now what we need to do once we have our command is queue it. And that is what we'll continue on in the next part. Thanks for watching. I'll see you there.